Welcome to Wings of Change, where stories of soulful transformations come to life. I'm Sara Marzo, the host of this podcast, youth worker, trainer, and ecosomatic coach. Together, we will explore inspiring journeys of growth and change. Are you ready? Let's dive in. And today, with us, we have another special guest. And our guest today is Signa Schiavo Campo, right? I hope I pronounced in the right way your name. And Signa was one of our participants in the program From Caterpillar to Butterfly. And welcome, Signa.
Hi, Sara. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for this invitation. It's special.
And thank you for accepting the invitation and for accepting this interview, this sharing. And as you know, today we are here to share the story of your soulful transformation. And I guess our listeners are curious, as much as I am today, to hear your story, Signa. And where to start? What about starting with telling us a bit of a taste of yourself? How does it feel, Signa?
It feels perfect. So, I'm half Croatian from the side of my mom and half Italian. And I've been living in Colombia for quite a few years. My son was born there. And in life, I dedicate myself both to artistic research. I write poems and I also collaborate into performing arts proposals. But also, I'm passionate about the field of ecosomatics. So everything that is connected to wilderness, self-expression, self-exploration, connections to the bigger field of consciousness. So I think that it can be as a short introduction about myself.
And it seems already a juicy introduction. This mix of nationalities, let's say, cultures you have been, grew up with from Croatia, Italy, and Colombia, and then this research of your life in the artistic field and in the ecosomatics sounds super, super, super interesting to me. And also it's resonating with me because, as you know, also I'm dealing with ecosomatic and I love these topics. And I think also our people listening are very curious about this. Yeah, so you coming from this field and some point in your life, you ended up applying for a program that was called From Caterpillar to Butterfly. How come? What happened?
Sometimes I also get surprised because I received the invitation by chance or who knows by synchronicity. And I didn't know what it was, but I was in a moment of my life of big change. I was separating from my husband, and also I was just discovering that my mom has a terminal ill. She has a cancer. She's luckily still alive, but at that time, the doctors gave her just 1 year of life. And also, I was moving. I was leaving from like a beautiful place in the mountain close to the river, a very wild place. When I decided to separate, I went back into the city in which I was born in Milano with my child, and basically I had to start again, leaving the working projects there, rethinking about the family. And in that very moment, even though it was quite hard, I also felt a very powerful energy of renewal. And I just opened my email and saw the invitations to apply to the program. I just did it. I didn't have previous knowledge in the topics related, such as Animas Valley or Bill Plotkin. I just trusted that somehow it was calling. And I also wished to dive into a new adventure. So when I applied, I didn't have much hope of being taken, but then it happened.
It seems it was in a quite challenging moment of your life, a moment of already transformation of your life, moving from one place to the other, separation, the illness of your mom, so many changes. And what deeply called you to add another transformation in this period? It was already full of transformation changes.
I probably had the intuition that it could be a beautiful accompaniment. And actually, it was really in that way. Also, with the metaphor from caterpillar to butterfly and all the three stages we went through with the group. I actually had the gift to meet a beautiful tribe, a beautiful group. So I really felt I could be accompanied also by other loving bonds with these people that I deeply admire. And it was something that it was deeply necessary for me at that moment, since, yeah, like I went back to my city of origin, let's say, but I was away for more than 10 years. So the connections that I had in Milano actually mm, were not really corresponding to my inner transformation in that moment. And to be able to be seen with such depth, love, and compassion, it was a really healing process for me. So basically, it was instinct who told me when I discovered that I was accepted, okay, go and see what's happened. And I'm really grateful that I could follow this intuition actually.
So was something deeper, intuition and inner guidance, an inner voice that deeper was asking to be held in this process. Like I don't know, I received this. You don't have it to do it alone. And I get that the tribe was the space, and I guess also the guides that accompany you was the space for you to be seen, to be loved, and witnessed with compassion and so on.
Yeah, and moreover, to be seen also in my potency, because of course, when I was in this moment of separation and illness of my mom, it's very easy to be seen as a victim of circumstances.
Mm,
And I needed something else. I needed to be seen into my power, also into my capacity of being in action.
mm,
So not just in the middle of the storm, but as someone who can stay under the rain and keep on walking and even enjoy these storms and the thunders. And of course, maybe it's not so comfortable to feel the cold and the wet, but it's anyway part of life. And I was sure that there will be a point in which I could make a treasure of all these experiences. And probably also the program helped me to make this shift, this change of vision.
mm. So from a powerless, helpless, or be seen as a victim or feeling a victim. I don't know if you were feeling or you were seen as a victim, shifting into being, okay, this is happening, but I can go through it with another, feeling, another, I can even enjoy, I feel like, not enjoy because I guess it was, not easy, but I can stay under the rain and feel it. And I have the qualities to to pass through this with probably with wholeness, I would dare to say, right?
Sure, it's something that I'm really grateful to the program to receive more tools to dive deeper into this wholeness,
Mm,
to know the facets of the self, to be able to listen at a deeper level to myself, recognize maybe which archetypes are moving me or which limitations I'm also experiencing, but without judging them, rather with this ability to embrace them and to be able to listen. Really, like a mother saying, you are a part of myself, maybe inner critic, maybe perfectionist, maybe whoever, and I don't want to cancel you. I will give you space, but also allowing a more mature part of me to be there and to guide my decisions.
Mm. So a space of listening is inside yourself, um, that is not judgmental, and it's there to see and to hear everything, to give space to every voice, but then to to decide from another space of maturity that is including all voices and something like this, right? I don't know. I get this message.
Yes,
Mm. I would like to ask you many questions. I have to choose which one, which way to go. Let me think which question I want to ask you because I'm curious, a bit about your personal journey, a bit how you got into this poetry, ecosomatic, and I guess you were already familiar with self-development and so on. So a bit where you were coming from. This is one of the thread. And the other one a bit going deeper into the program. So probably I'll let you choose which one you feel called to answer.
we can start from the first and then we can also go to the second one. So I guess that one of the main threads in my life has been the body. At the beginning, I was mainly seen for my intelligence and for the abilities of my mind. And also in school, in family, I was really praised for that. But then when I was 19, something happened because I was also in the middle of the crisis because of a heart-breaking moment with a big love. And then I discovered the power of dance. I was lucky enough to have a teacher who was trained in somatics. So she was able to guide me, even if I had a body that was very unflexible, completely arrhythmic, and I was feeling very shy about moving. But little by little, there was a process of falling in love, and this is still present since that time. Kept on researching, investigating through dance, somatics, martial arts a little bit. And finally, I also discovered the path of yoga and Thai massage, and it's something that I share with regular basis nowadays. So yeah, the path of self development was really connected to the power of the body, but also there is this artistic side inside of me that comes a little bit from my family tree. I come from a family of painters, sculptors, poets, and poetry has always accompanied me since I was a teenager. It was the way in which I was self-healing my soul in all the difficult passages of being a teenager. And little by little, also this poetry writing has changed. Nowadays, I'm exploring the field of erotic poetry,
Mm.
and it's something that, yeah, it's something quite new, but I was discovering that the power of eros is really connected to vital energy and vital force. And the questions or issues around how to really connect at the deeper level with our vital force and vital energy, how to unravel our full potential was really also a thread in my life as well.
Mhm. Wow, so many fascinating words. Only just to hear them, like connection with the body, dance, yoga, Thai massage, poetry, erotic poetry. and vital, force, full potential. Every word can open a realm. And you know, by being a poet, that every word has a world inside the word. But listening to you, I heard the sentence, I fell in love. I fell in love with what? With who?
Wow, it's a multifaceted way of falling in love. I'm reminding the poem of love by Mary Oliver. So it's probably an inner quality, or it's a state of grace as well. Maybe it's our true essence that needs to be reminded each single day. In the poem, Mary Oliver says that she didn't fall in love just with humans, but also with the light of the sun or with the many other encounters she had. And probably in this way, it's so connected with the ecosomatics word. I fell in love each time I go into nature, even though it's also a strange expression to say going into nature because we are already nature, we are already part of the nature. So maybe when I go into the landscape, connect to the land, and there I remind to go to the essence. And of course, that the celebration of that, both through joy and through pain and through a state of inner stillness, for me, it's really connected to arts because it's the language that I've been so familiar with. But I also was discovering that it can be by a particular quality of being present to other human beings, mirroring them. The art of mirroring, it's something that also was precious as a tool that was given by our mentors in the program. So this special way of being able to see and to listen another human being as if the whole world was listening and seeing them.
Wow, so what I get that this falling in love is a way of living life in a state of grace, as you said. It's it's an attitude. It's cultivating love in every encounter you have, either with human beings or more than human beings. It's an intentional, I get, because you know, for mirroring, for being present, needs an intention. So I feel that this needs to be cultivated as well. It's not always easy, I would say. I get it's a flavor of your way of living in inhabiting the world. Would you say that it's like this or not, or something? I don't know.
I resonate with that actually. And as you said, I truly believe it's innate in us, but we kind of forget. Also, there is a beautiful word, you know, because you're Italian too, ricordare, that means remember, that in its root, it means to pass again through the heart. So, remembering this falling in love, there is another expression that I like, that it's falling in love outward. So, inward and outward. And it's used by Andrea Olsen when she talks about the landscape or the more than humans.
Mm.
So I like it because it reminds me that it's not just an act or a state that is connected to our personal self, but when we fall in love outward, we are collaborating and resonating with the web of life. So in that sense, I would say that it's even political, a political act in a wider sense to understand politics, of course. But I truly believe that this program, with all the tools that it's offering, it's also because we want to contribute to a more mature society in general that could be eco-sensitive and in a world in which we have so many crises, climate crises and wars, we deeply need people who are able to stay into the active hope. This is an expression by Joanna Macy, but instead of being paralyzed in the pain, in the suffering of humanity and modern humanity. So how can we practice this active hope that moves toward action, even if the action seems so small?
Mm. Wow, you named already so, important people like Joanna Mesi, Andrea Olsen, that are foundational for, ecosomatics and this work, transformational work also of Joanna Mesi, that I really recommend our listeners to go and Google and find information about the beautiful work these two powerful women did and brought to the world to serve the world. So this state of falling in love inward and outward, uh, I I I feel it's a kind of a practice, a personal practice, but it's a practice that is this love is innate, as you say, we all have when we're born, but then somehow it happens that is not cultivated or not or forgotten, and our work is to remember, ricordare, as you say a bit, no? And so that is not only for us, but again, this is to serve the world, to serve humanity, to serve the society, and it's political and it is touching ourselves, but also nature. We belong to nature. We are nature, as you say, but it's touching the web of life using Joanna's Maisie words. And yeah, and how all these theory thoughts in somehow fit in the program you crossed during the last 2 years. How all this somehow entered and took part and was intertwined with the program you did from caterpillar to butterfly.
It's a good question. I imagine it as a tapestry in which inspiration coming from multiple styles bring its voice. And also, it's not just about theory, it's about embodying, at least for me, it's about embodying those inspirational voices and asking to myself what it means for me. So it's probably like nourishing myself also from others, also from my companions, my mentors, from all the wonders and the practices we did. And as the same metaphor of the program is suggesting, passing from a state in which devour concepts and practices, there is a stage of alchemy. That was probably the cocoon stage, the second phase of the program, in which then it doesn't really matter to consume anymore. Something else it's happening also because probably we were ready for make it happen and we had the courage to say yes. And about the first phase, that is the butterfly, I'm probably still discovering. So I probably feel not with my full wings yet, but I'm happy that it's a slow process. There was a point in the cocoon stage in which it was about surrendering. And even though maybe in this podcast it's coming out also for my philosophical background, all those inspirational voices, the program allowed me to go into this state of surrender.
Surrender. So what I hear it's that every voice, inspirational voice, passed through embodying. This is a strong message I get, not only understanding, but embodying. And also what I hear is that the program was a process, is still an ongoing process. And at some point there was this moment of surrender. But surrender to what?
Maybe I can use some images to say
Mm.
this word. I don't feel it's quite easy to describe it. The word that it's dear to me, it's the word of mystery.
Mm.
I would dare to say the word divine. For me, divine is in each fiber of each single thing in the world. To whatever it's still unknown. And also surrendering to this web of life itself. It might feel as if I was throwing myself from an abyss or into an abyss and taking the risk. It's a big risk of losing integrity, losing my mind, not knowing who I am, maybe also being misunderstood by my beloved ones,
Mm.
but still saying this yes and trusting the transformation to happen. So who knows, maybe instead of falling as a free fall, it will be a flying
Mm.
above this abysm.
Flying in love
Flying in love.
instead of falling in love. So, so surrendering to something bigger. I hear trust somehow, that surrendering to the unknown, that but with trust. I get this trust in this surrender. Is there a taste of trust, or am I mistaken?
I like the word trust. There is this poem about Thomas Eliot. He says something like, wait without hope, for hope would be for the wrong thing. Wait without love, for love would be for the wrong thing. Yet there is fate. But the fate and the love are all in the waiting. It's just a part, and probably it's not exactly the right words, but the sense is that.
Mm. So this having faith that in the waiting itself, that is part of the attitude to to live, to wait for something, but in faith, this makes the difference. And yeah, um, what was preventing you to surrender before? Because you said I had to surrender at some point. I had, or it happened. I get it happened somehow. But was resisting.
Probably, even if there was a willingness inside of me, first I had to build a more conscious relations to my wholeness. Otherwise, probably could have been mm, risky in an unhealthy way.
Mm.
Without wholeness into places of deep surrender, then of course each one of us is different. It can happen. And I do believe in miracles. But just it, again, to connect with this feeling of enjoyment and of pleasure, building my wholeness and becoming aware of that, then it allowed me to take the risk from a different place. I knew I could hold myself, invoke my wholeness, and I trusted more that I was embraced by a bigger force, something bigger.
Mm. So, so there was something, there was, you were not ready, I get, to surrender before. You were not ready enough to surrender. You didn't have the inner resources. Your wholeness was not ready enough, cultivated enough to surrender to, with faith, to mystery and unknown and so on. But what made the difference to allow you to surrender? If you could identify some elements that helped you.
An important part is given by the presence of a tribe, as I mentioned. So feeling that it is way too big to carry it on my own. So I don't have it to carry it on my own. I can be accompanied. And then I guess just at some point, the calling becomes too strong and it's too alluring. It's really like these rituals of animals courting. I want to imagine like that. So courting this calling to surrender, and it's in reciprocity. But it's beautiful to enjoy the dance first before the lovemaking happens. So I just believe that it happened in the perfect time. I also don't want to say that now I'm super aware of my wholeness and it's always present. No, it's a process. We don't arrive, we grow. It's another line of poetry I really like.
Mm. It's an ongoing process, and really the tribe, the tribe, the place where you could rely on or be held witness, this made it a huge difference. I feel how crucial was for essential for for your readiness then in starting this falling dating courting, as you say, courting who, what?
Who knows?
Your soul or
Maybe it's the soul of the world, my soul, spirit.
Mm,
Maybe it's mystery. Maybe it's life itself.
mm. But still hearing you, what I get is this living life with this loving attitude, whatever, this erotic, I would say, there is a kind of flavor also in erotic, the karting, and it's a way of experiencing even this research that I feel it's a research, a lifelong research, seeking for this mystery, unknown, and so on. Is there anything you would like to share with us? There could be any experience, any insightful moment, something you think might make our listener curious.
There are many things I could share. Of course, I can read you a poem, but maybe we can keep it for the end. I don't know, maybe this is the end, but
No, 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 no. We have
okay.
time.
So one of the things I was really fascinated by, it was this being in touch with wilderness. There are two practices or moments. One is the wonders and the other one is the vision quest. But this ability to go wandering into the landscape without the mind telling you where to go or what to do, but being deeply connected and receptive to the present moment and to the presence of whatever it arrives on the way. I felt it was leading me into some big or small miracles. I was able to discover places that were really, I don't know how to say, like partly inaccessible, or from the main road you couldn't even imagine that they were there, like places with small waterfalls or paths that appear off trail, meeting with the animals, eagles, snakes. and also receiving revelations. So if the wonder were holding an intention and somehow a question, then the question was kind of revealed through these embodied symbols. And it's a practice that both gave me deep rest, but also a renewed sense of adventure and of infinite magic.
Mm.
And about this second moment of the vision quest, again, with this being in touch with the wilderness and being open to receive, even if apparently nothing or almost very small things are happening. So this attitude of contemplation. But it's beyond that. It's the feeling of being radiant and raw, just in my being, in a way in which I could just be, especially in a world in which we are asked to do so much, to do, to inspire, to work, to find our vocation. Even in the soul world, I perceive so much about that, how precious it is to be in this state of rawness and just be. It's probably something that I see in my child,
Mm.
to
How,
feel that he's loved by the fact that he's existing.
yeah, how beautiful. Your words, every word are still echoing inside me. The, this rest, adventure, and then magic. This, when you open to this being receptive, and then revelation arrive, and the intention, the fact of wandering without a direction, but the direction will find you somehow. And you go to these places where you are supposed to get inaccessible, but they were there to be explored and discovered only because maybe you followed this intention, this attitude, this way of being, just being, as you say, not doing much doing, but just being there, raw and radiant, to use your words. And I get that this happens when you're contemplating, like you access a state of contemplation of the world, something like this. Did I get it right?
Yeah, when you are deeply listening, opening the heart, contemplating, trusting your intuition and instinct. The feeling is to be a continuum with this web of life. So, not ending where the skin ends, but going beyond that. Anyway, we are a dance of atoms and souls. So, I
Mm.
really like to remember that I'm not separated. And probably more than remembering, like to go to the embodiment of this remembrance.
Mm. Yes, so I get how it is important to truly experience this in your body. A felt sense of this. It's not just okay contemplation, okay in wonder, okay revelation, okay we are interconnected. I sense in your words, in your feeling, that this is not just a theory. It's a felt sense of belonging, of being part, a deeper sense that needs to be touched and not only understood, felt and embodied and not only understood. Hmm. And yeah, just for our listeners, I don't know if they're still following us. And we mentioned many times wholeness, and this is the foundational word of this program that is based on the work of the map of wholeness of Bill Plotkin and the nature-based map of a human psyche, where there are four directions, north, south, east, and west, and in each direction there are qualities inside us and in nature, and they are innate and mirrored, and we are belonging and connected because the qualities that are in nature are in us, the qualities that are in us are in nature. Briefly said, it's very complex. But what I perceived when we were talking about wholeness and all your process, I perceived that there was a shift. And if you could mention some of the facets of your wholeness that were lacking and maybe were cultivated in the program, which ones are those aspects of your soul, psyche that were empowered or cultivated?
It's very easy to say what was so present. It was so present, the dark muse, the inner beloved, so the direction of the West, all this portal to imagination and dreams and intuition. But I really needed to develop the opposite direction, so the East, with the trickster, the inner sage. I didn't have a very easy childhood, so I probably felt that I was losing my ability to play at a very young age. It was even difficult to start to play with my kid. I couldn't understand the games of children. And somehow this trickstering quality that it's kind of able to keep the paradox, but also to be playful, to play so much with reality, to not take everything serious, and yet to be very committed. So on one side, it was awakening the trickster in me. It was so important in the hardest moment of the program in which I was facing my shadows. So to bring a sense of lightness, being able to making irony and to keep together the wisdom. I probably was fearing that if I go to this lightness, I would lose the wisdom. I understood that it's not about devoting just to one facet, but really to integrate them all. And of course, it's natural that some of us maybe have a tendency to be more conscious or aware about certain facets. And so for me, it was really the East.
So the East that is containing, as you said, paradoxes. So you can be light but deep at the same time, somehow, and you can joke but take things seriously, and you can have this perspective and see be in the detail, and you can be innocent and sage at the same time, as Bill Plotkin is saying. So this quality allowed you somehow then to embrace the other qualities and to, I perceive also, yeah, to make it through in difficult and challenging moments of your process. This was the one of the qualities, I would dare to say, that was there to allow you to cross with lightness and still depth the probably the surrender or whatever you were crossing.
Definitely.
Great. And we still have like 10 minutes together, let's say. And is there anything that I didn't ask and that you would like to be asked?
I trust your inspiration.
You trust my inspiration?
Yes.
Yeah, then you mentioned some already some practices, and okay, it's beautiful. I say often also in projects, you go there, you have a retreat, you have the mentors, the guides, you have the tribe, you have a safe space to develop wholeness, to grow up, to develop, and then you go back to daily life. And yeah, daily life means duties, responsibilities, work, family, social relationships, everything. And then wholeness might be challenged somehow. And so, do you have any practical advice or any practices that you use to cultivate your wholeness that you would like to suggest to people and that maybe can work? You already mentioned the solo wonders that you did in the project, the vision quest. It is another way of going into the wilderness. But is there anything else that you suggest?
First of all, I was reminded by one of the friends from the program that here means in the daily life world, here too are gods and goddesses. And this quote is from Heraclito, one of the Greek ancient philosophers. So reminding that, as I told you before, we are a web of life and we are into a continuum. So of course, our mind can read, oh, I'm into a super wonderful program and then I need to go back to my duties. But here too are the gods and goddesses. So here too is divine.
Mm.
And I'm glad that each time we come back, we are doing all what we do also because we want to come back. At least I want to come back and to bring that to my child and to the people that I love. And hopefully to be able to touch even more hearts in that sense, to be at service, at political service from the soul. And about the specific practices, at the beginning, I was believing in also practicing with the strong determination. For instance, the yoga practice, it's very structured, and for me, it was helpful to practice that determination or willpower to really be studying the practice and to do a certain practice in the way I was given. I feel that through this program, I became softer. So instead of trying hard, try soft. And it's changing the way I am practicing whatever. It can be a movement practice or it can be even my yoga practice. And also becoming more creative. For instance, what do I need this specific morning? Maybe I'm waking up with my full energy and I'm just ready for living. Maybe not. Maybe it's something as simple as staring myself in the mirror and reminding again, go to the essence of my being, remembering my qualities by mirroring myself into my own eyes. Or it can be gazing outside. Maybe sometimes I see the mountains from my window. Maybe it's just about the quality of the rain or the quality of the light. So I would say that for me, the most important thing is that to do something that we feel connected to in that moment beyond what our mind says we should do.
Mhm.
Of course, I honor the way that we can, for instance, establish a goal and go through the goal. And also it tonifies our soul muscle, let's say, in the same way that the more we practice mindfulness or meditation, then it creates new pathways in our brain and it will become easier and easier. But in my personal experience, there was a point in which it was becoming too strict. So I really had to become softer.
Mhm. So what I hear, it is not only about the practices, but it's about the way you relate to the practices. So this can make a difference. Can be strict, can be determined and structured, disciplined, but can be also soft, enjoyable, and tune with the needs. And once you tune in yourself, you might find what you really need. And then maybe that day another practice, or you create a new practice that is more aligned with what you're connected to in that day. More real, more embodied, I would use as word.
Sure. And sometimes it can be that I wake up very sad and I just put my blankets on my face and deeply embrace myself crying inside. So apparently, I'm doing nothing. I'm staying under my bed for 5, 10, 15 minutes. Normally, since I'm a mother and moreover a single mother, I cannot take more time to make this morning practice. But it's also remembering the power of pausing and resting and going slow.
Mm. And I perceive also the power of allowing
Yes,
things to be as they are in that moment, and allow this, and then maybe after you feel stronger, whatever, after allowing yourself to be sad, to be tired. Sometimes we can allow yourself and acknowledge that it happens, and it's part of our humanity, humanness, right?
totally.
Hmm, great. So much wisdom in your words.
Thank you, my dear.
And yeah, so talking about wisdom, since we are about to get to the end of our conversation, Signa, would like to ask you um, if you have a message that you want to deliver to our audience, a message that could be a takeaway of your story, the essence, as you say, of your story, or it can be a quote, a poem, but something you want to leave our listener with before ending the podcast.
Of course, I would love to share with you a poem. You will let me know if one or two, because now talking about allowing, I just reminded another beautiful poem by Robert Howe.
Mm.
I really enjoy. Um, so maybe I can first give you the poem Allow It, and then I would love to share one that was coming from my vision quest, from this moment spent into the wilderness.
Yes, go for it. Feel free to spread poetry in the world.
Okay, so if you want to close your eyes and be open to receive this word with a wish for you, for us to allow. Robert Howe, allow it to find you, to take you, and run itself through your body, like the most sensuous saxophone you could ever imagine or allow yourself to feel. Let it in, let it take you to places you have never known. Just trust the player and cause the tune is unlike anything else you have ever tasted. It's nectar. It's the place where words begin and end, serving as accent to the melody playing out right now. Let it find you, and when you do, allow it to run and saturate each fiber of your being.
Mhm. Allow it. Surrender. I get again this surrender. Touching words.
And my final sharing with you, it's this one. It doesn't have a title, but below these words, you could imagine a place into the landscape with a very freezing river and very warm sun and rocks and trees. touch me deeper. Nowhere to escape from you. Ravished by your vastness, I become the erotic resplendence of a gelid torrent, the poison of the snake below the sunny rocks. Nothing else is left of me over. Yet, maybe, the sound of a prayer whispered between your lips. Thank you, Sara.
Wow. I'm still savoring the words and of the two poems and this poem. I get the ears, what you're talking about. I get it. I get from your conversation this eros, love, surrender, deeply feeling, and deeply way of living living life, the inhabiting the world with an attitude of poetic, loving, and soft. It doesn't have to be hard all the time. Great.
Exactly. And since we are here, let's enjoy, even in the storm.
Let's enjoy the rain, even the rain in the storm. Thank you, Signa, sorry. Thank you, Signa, for the touching words you share with us, your experiences, your process, and your vulnerability to talk about such an intimate process you went through, and all these pieces of wisdom, of poetry. You speak words of poetry, either yours, either from other people. So I really hope our listeners will be delighted with your poetry. Do you want to add anything else?
I want to thank you, Sara, and I want to thank all the people that were accompanying me through this journey, mentors, tribe, but also all the ones who are or will listen to this podcast. Thank you so much.
Mm. And thank you again. And just invoking gratitude at the end of this conversation with you, feeling deeply grateful for this conversation. So thank you, Signa, and talk to you very, very soon. See you.
Thank you, Sara. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you for listening to our podcast, Winds of Change. Stay tuned and listen to more inspiring stories on our Spotify channel, Volcanic Minds. See you on our next journey.